May you guide us in every step we take. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
We may now take our seats. Your Excellency, the President of this great nation, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, the Governor, Nairobi County, Honorable Johnson Sakaja, the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Coordination, Honorable Kithure Kindiki, all Cabinet Secretaries from Kenya and international who are present, all Principal Secretaries from Kenya and internationally who are present, the Executive Chair for ID for Africa, Dr. Joseph Atik, all national and local leaders present, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, sir, with your permission, at this point, I would like to invite Colin Howell, who is going to start off with a short presentation on the passports in Africa and how Africa has inspired the unique design of a passport. So why don't we put our hands together as we welcome Colin Howell to come and lead us in that presentation. Colin?
So begin from the start. Excuse me for one moment while we just go back. It's a huge honor to be here today speaking to you, Your Excellency. Thank you for your time. Design is one of the most powerful forces in our lives, and for the most powerful way of communicating ideas that humanity has. Successful design sends intentional messages to the audience, and it helps them to understand what they are looking at. I started off at Central St. Martin's studying fine art and portraiture, and here's two examples of my work. I remember my tutor saying, pay attention to the eyes. This is where you create the intensity. This is where you create the power, Colin. The subject's eyes are what makes the viewer feel something. I've been a designer now for over 30 years, the first 10 years as a currency designer. Here is my early work in watercolors and pencil crayons, conceptual design that we would then show to presidents and central banks. And when they made a change, we would have to start again. This is another design for the last 20 years, I have been doing ID cards and passports. But there was a similarity between ID cards and currency. And in the early 90s, I designed a series for the Zambia kwacha and the Kenya shilling. It was my first trip to Kenya in 91, and I worked with the central bank coming up with this design. What was paramount important to me then was being immersed here at ground level, meeting you, meeting the nationals, in the rural places, in the urban towns and the townships. Anyone remember those notes? I love traveling because every place I've been to, even when I return to it multiple times, I learn something new and I encounter different perspectives, and it deepens my cultural understanding. Along with travel, I have designed over 30 passports worldwide. Previously, the 2 UK passports, the Estonia book, which HID Global won an award for, and the recently launched Bahrain project, which was just this March. But one of my favorite nations on earth is Africa. And I've spent many months exploring this continent, researching, doing my own photography. I've sat around boardroom tables with presidents, but equally I've sat with orphans. I volunteered for a charity in Mozambique, working there for 3 months, playing football with the young children underneath the hot African sun. Subsequently, I've had the honor to design several passports for Africa, and Kenya is one of those that I designed. Rwanda also, and the recently launched Sierra Leone. I'll show you some of those in a moment. It wasn't until I walked with the lions in Zimbabwe that I felt a tangible strength and a power being with these big cats. Similarly, it isn't until you walk the design journey with me that you discover the enormous potential and power and strength of design. So let's dig a little bit deeper into this phrase. The role of a designer has many interpretations. When we say the word design, I'm sure many things appear in people's minds. Some of you may ask, what has design ever done for me? Well, consider the chair that you're sitting on, or the car that you drive, or the kitchen that you're saving up for. The truth about design is it shapes our understanding and the world and our experience within it. What defines us as humans is our ability to design our world. Design can enhance the aesthetic appeal of products and environments. Design can create brand recognition. It can foster innovation and creativity. Design can create a sense of community and belonging by designing spaces and environments that promote social interaction and shared experiences. And design can promote safety and security, both in ID documentation, but other products and environments, and minimize risk and protect users from harm. I would bet that you would all recognize these symbols, and I would suggest that the power of design in these is in the mere simplicity of them. But these would have taken a long time deliberating over the idea. What about these? Testing your regional knowledge. Whether it's design layout, composition, typography, style, or color, each design is recognizable and distinct elements to draw to your attention. As a designer, there is so much variation. I have 16 million colors to choose from, all sorts of different materials and textures, multiple different styles, from photographic, illustrative, abstract, and of course, typography. But here's where I think the real power of design grows. Because the role of a designer, me as a designer, has evolved from a shape giver to a facilitator, from me to we. Our power at HID Global lies in the fact that we want to get round the table with you and listen to your voice. We want to collaborate with you, and we want to share our ideas together. And that process starts with you. And the process that we start with is a design workshop, understanding what it is like to live in your country. You always have a head start on me, and getting that local input as early as possible. But not only the things that you like in design, the things that you don't. So I will look at your currency and your passport, and I will ask open and honest questions. Do you like the color? Do you like the design? Designers have to have thick skin and soft hearts. Conversation seeds collaboration. I heard that yesterday. I love that phrase. And running these workshops brings a fascinating level of detail. And if done well, you're spoilt for choice. I always start off by asking the customer this one question. What does your country mean to you? What does Kenya, as a citizen, mean to you? And a few essential things that I kick off with is I'm visual. Show and don't tell. Encourage wild ideas. Stay focused on the subject. Defer any judgment. Put all the ideas in the greenhouse and nurture them. No idea is a bad idea as a designer, so let's at least consider it if it's coming from your voice. Build on the ideas of the customer and be willing to quickly adapt. And of course, design is subjective, and everyone can get very excited about it, so I try to encourage one conversation at a time. What do we learn from these? Well, of course, we find out the usual subjects of governance, history, national symbols, language and culture, geography, so much more. But as we dive deeper, the real power of design is revealed through more complex strands. Perhaps we need to define past issues or problems, try to solve these for you in your new design, or prioritize simplicity, making the design easy to understand, or focus on creating a design that has a positive impact on the audience and the world around them. I recently had the privilege to work with the Ministry of Interior in Kenya. They travelled to the UK on a couple of occasions. We sat around a table for 3 days discussing your country and finding out about it in detail. There were some high-level takeaways: natural wonders, cultural heritage, economic process, environmental conservation, education and innovation. One of these subjects alone could be the narrative for your new book. Peace and unity, sports and fitness, your excellence, you're world-renowned for your sporting acumen, for your runners in long distance. And of course, women empowerment, emphasising Kenya's commitment to women's empowerment, showcasing its achievements in education, politics, business, and social justice. It's this attention to detail that is so important and makes these projects so successful. And it delivers the powerful message that we as a company have listened to you. And a good example is the current Kenya passport, of which I designed now over a decade ago. Yes, it probably needs an upgrade, and there's lots of things now I would do differently. But a decade ago, I listened to you, and you talked about having the big five, representing the lion, the leopard, the elephant, the water buffalo, and the rhinoceros. There were so many ways that I could have interpreted this. But I decided to showcase the Kenya shield. And you can see the line of animals on the bottom, and highlighted in the spot red is each creature as it goes through the double-page spread of the passport. So there's some striking recognition in the power of design on the book. But I wonder in your current passports whether you've seen the level of detail that's gone in it. Because in the background I've included the fur or the hide of the animal. So you will have seen the leopard and the baobab tree. But what about the level of detail that builds into the background and secures that document from the counterfeiter? There are multiple screens hidden within this document, hiding within the background, using the Corvina software. We just recently launched the Sierra Leone passport, and I want to just close now on having a quick look at this book. The end pages featured the chimpanzee. Why the chimpanzee? Well, because we did a design workshop, and the government talked to me about the importance of the chimpanzee, not only as their national animal, but also there's been a huge influx of tourism into Sierra Leone. And so I went back to my traditional ways and hand drew this young chimpanzee, cotton buds and trees in the background, highlighting the design. But then hidden in a more subtle way is the habitat of the creature. You can see the layer build here on the visa pages. The power of design is emphasizing the chimpanzee, the national animal. But do you notice the trees in the background? There are other animals hidden within the undergrowth. And on further observation, perhaps you will see that the chimpanzee is close to the water, for there is a reflection beneath it. Graphical symbols make up the background of the Sierra Leone design, as it does in the current Kenya book. But there has been more advancements lately, and so now we're doing these little technical G-screens made up of tiny icons that I personally draw up every single one. And then I will screen a photograph or a design, and it's made up of multiple security elements. Cotton buds, monkeys, little icons from crafts and textiles. This is the level of detail. These are the other visas, the spoonbill, the pygmy hippo, and the flamingo. All of which builds into the layer of the design. And of course their habitat, the forest, the woodland, the swamp, and the coast. It's also designed to dazzle, and we make sure that we want to also look at the narrative of the UV working. And so behind the scenes on this book, hidden in UV, is a further story of the animals themselves in their habitat and the flora and the fauna that they live and dwell in. It's designed to dazzle. Finally, the biodata page. We keep these less is more and simple because the personalization needs to be read well. More and more places and countries are now adopting polycarbonate, where you can integrate within several layers security features like Mirage, which is from HID, and Windows, and all sorts of various different portraits can be adapted, MLIs, user-definable screens. But I like to keep the design simple so you can read the personalization. In this case of Sierra Leone, a paper version, we've got textile background, but there is a colobus monkey hidden within the background there as well. So it still is included in the narrative. And the biodata page, UV. So thank you for listening. Thank you very much. In closing, let's keep communicating together and sowing those seeds. Let's keep collaborating together and discover that the power of design makes an enormous difference in your ID documents and your solutions. And I do hope you'll come and visit me and the team at HID Stand and comment not only on this presentation, but on the future Kenya passport. I hope that I have the privilege of being involved with that, and I hope to glean as much information that I can from you all later on today, because it will be so fascinating to hear your comments on what you would like to see, Your Excellency, in your new Kenya passport. Thank you so much for your time.
One more round of applause for Colin Howell. Wonderful presentation there, and I can't wait to get home and look at my passport and see what's hidden in the detail. Next, Your Excellency, I would like to call upon the Principal Secretary for Immigration and Citizen Services, Ambassador Professor Julius Bitok, to come and give some remarks. Then after that, he's going to invite the Executive Chair of ID for Africa Movement, Dr. Joseph Atik, to make some remarks as well. Welcome.
Your Excellency, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, President and Commander-in-Chief of Kenya Defense Forces, Cabinet Ministers and Cabinet Secretaries present, Principal Secretaries and Permanent Secretaries present, Ambassadors, High Commissioners, Development Partners, Exhibitors, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Warm welcome to the official opening of the 7th edition of the ID for Africa conference in Nairobi. This conference is timely because it's coming at a time when Kenya is transiting from second-generation ID to third-generation ID, the digital identity or unique personal identifier. We are consolidating our databases from CRS, from NRB, from immigration, from IPRS, into one towards the journey towards digital identity. The digital identity is a critical infrastructure that can transform a nation and forms really the basis for social economic transformation, which is at the heart of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. IPRS is being upgraded to be able to support the 5,000 services which are being onboarded onto e-citizen platform. This conference, therefore, is really coming at a very, very important time to us, because once the 5,000 services are onboarded, then it will be more efficient, it will be more effective for Kenyan citizens to be able to get services more seamlessly. And also, it will help us be able to collect more taxes. Allow me, Excellency, to introduce the number of principal secretaries who are present here today. And allow me to read their names. The first one is called Mbatso Zambo, the permanent secretary from Malawi. A loud applause for him. We have Devende Gopal, permanent secretary from Mauritius. A round of applause for him. Thank you very much. The third one is Manuel Didea Malunga, permanent secretary from Mozambique. Thank you very much. The next one is Victor Domingos Kandemba, permanent secretary also from Mozambique. Thank you very much. The next one is Serge Balevi Minga, permanent secretary from Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. Thank you very much. The next one is Caspar Munya, permanent secretary from Tanzania. Thank you very much. The next one is Edith Mwanje, permanent secretary from Uganda. Thank you very much. The next one is Joseph Masanyufu, another permanent secretary from Republic of Uganda. Thank you very much. Another one is William Alo Nwango, permanent secretary from Nigeria. Thank you very much. The next one is Ibilola Kasunmiu, permanent secretary also from Nigeria. Thank you very much. The next one is Amina Ahmed Warsama, Secretary General from the Republic of Djibouti. Thank you very much. The next one is Mustafa Kobele Keita, Secretary General from the Republic of Guinea. Applause, round of applause. Thank you very much. The next one is Andri Naivo, Secretary General from Madagascar. Thank you very much, Secretary General. Last but not least is Jennifer Omolo, Deputy Permanent Secretary from the United Republic of Tanzania. Thank you very much. Your Excellency, sir, allow me at this point to recognize the Kenya committee that came together to put this event together. I'm just requesting them to just stand up for 1 minute, led by Wanjau, the Secretary for NRB, you with your team. Let's stand up 1 minute for Excellency. Let's give them an applause. They are the team who ensured that this event was put together. Allow me, Excellency, also finally to invite Honorable Felix Jalango, MP for Langata, our host today, to make a few remarks, and then we can be able to proceed. Welcome, Honorable Jalango. Okay, I'm told there's a small change in the program. Jalango has, all right. Thank you very much, Excellency. At this point, allow me to invite my Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Abraham Kindiki, to be able to run the rest of the program. Thank you very much. Welcome, Mheshimiwa Cabinet Secretary.
Your Excellency, President William Ruto, Excellencies and distinguished guests and all visitors and delegates, good morning. Excellency, with your permission, I request to allow the Governor of the City County of Nairobi to first come and welcome us here. Otherwise, we might get into trouble. Welcome, Johnson Sakaja is the Governor of Nairobi City County. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Waziri Kindiki, Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Cabinet Secretaries, Principal Secretaries, the Executive Director of ID for Africa, and all the delegates who are here today. Allow me to give you a warm welcome to the city of Nairobi. Karibuni sana. Allow me to say a few things. One, you're in the right place. I don't think there'd be a better place to have this function, number one, than in Kenya. In 1984, one Kamuya Kimeu, along the banks of the Nairokotome River, found the earliest fossil of humankind, called the Turkana boy. Meaning, all of you are coming home to find your identity before you look at gadgets of identity for Africa. So where better to have this conversation than back at home? So welcome home. Number two, Nairobi is the silicon savannah of the continent. Nairobi is a place that's a hotbed of innovation. Our young people have led the way and have blazed the trail when it comes to technology. And so this is the right place for us to have the confluence of digital solutions to identity. As a county government, we are, I think, the second on the continent to start a physical addressing and street naming system that is on GIS. And I'm sure, because I've gone around and picked a lot of the brochures, a lot of the solutions, many of which are for national governments, also will make sense to us as subnational governments. As I've heard the presentations before me and seen what is going on, I listened to His Excellency, our President, when he spoke to the Pan-African Parliament in South Africa. Identity is more than just documents and gadgets. Identity is who we are. The documents and the gadgets and the tools that we're talking about only give expression to that. But we must ask ourselves this today, as this new generation of leaders grapples with this. Are we just 1.4 billion people stuck within 30 kilometers square, or is there something that defines us as Africans? Once we know what that is, because identity gives us dignity, identity puts us at the right place on the global table, but we cannot claim that space if we don't know first who we are. First, the identity as Africans, and then our identity as citizens of our nations. It's a very liberating idea, and I hope that we will move beyond the hardware and the software to the real questions around what Africa is, around what our nations represent, around what the imaginary lines drawn by the colonialists mean to us today. Are we embedding the separation or using those as bridges towards each other? Finally, enjoy Nairobi. Nairobi is the only city in the world where just behind you, you will be enjoying animals in their most natural, unspoiled, untouched habitat with the skyline of the capital city. We have a vibrant nightlife, we have a vibrant economy, and more than that, very warm and endearing people. Thank you very much and feel most welcome to Nairobi County. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Allow me to invite the Executive Chairman of the ID for Africa movement, His Excellency Dr. Joseph Atik, to come and make a few remarks. Thank you and welcome.
Your Excellency President Ruto, esteemed ministers from Kenya, as well as state ministers from Niger, Ethiopia, Gabon, and DR Congo, distinguished guests and attendees, good morning. All protocols observed. On behalf of the ID for Africa movement, I'd like to sincerely thank you, Your Excellency, for taking time from your busy schedule this morning to be with us. I also like to thank you for the assistance and facilitation that you provided us through all the Kenyan government agencies that are part of the local organizing committee for the ID for Africa 2023 AGM. In this regard, I'd like to especially recognize the Ministry of Interior and its Immigration and Citizenship Services for their phenomenal cooperation and support. Principal Secretary, Ambassador Bitok, with the support of Cabinet Secretary Professor Kindiki, personally led the organizing committee and were engaged in every step of the way. We really appreciate that kind of commitment. The Kenya Revenue Service, Revenue Authority, facilitated the customs procedure, which made it possible to bring into Kenya for demonstration purposes the latest equipment and innovations from around the world in the domain of digital identity. I also like to recognize Cabinet Secretary of ICT, Mr. Owalo, for his participation, his spectacular participation yesterday, along with Ambassador Bitok, in a thought leadership policy panel at the opening yesterday that set the scene for the intense dialogue and discussions that followed. People are continuing to talk about that session. Together, Your Excellency, with your government, we have made history this week. And this is only just the beginning. It's clear that the exceptional cooperation that we received from your government is a reflection of your support of the digital identity agenda and our Identity for All movement. So please accept my heartfelt and sincere gratitude. Your Excellency, I'd like to bring to your attention in closing a matter that has become the rallying cry for the Identity for All movement across Africa and the world, and that is Identity Day. I'd like to appeal to you to officially recognize 16 September as a National Day of Identity. Identity is the most valuable asset people have, yet there is no day commemorating or celebrating it. The choice of the date is very symbolic, since it pays homage to the UN Sustainable Development Goal 16.9, which calls for legal identity for all, including birth registration, by 2030. The commemorative day can be used to sensitize the population about the importance of having their identity, and it signals your government's commitment to empowering people through identity and to protecting their data and privacy. President Ruto, Your Excellency, Africa is looking for Kenya's leadership in this important domain. I appeal to you to add 16 September as Identity Day on your identity agenda. Thank you for listening.
Another round of applause for Executive Chairman. Thank you very much. Your Excellency, mine is simple because I think the setting for this event was done yesterday, and I want to pay homage to all the delegates who participated in yesterday's discussions and engagements. And in particular, I want to recognize my colleague in the cabinet, Eliud Owalo, the Cabinet Secretary for ICT and the Digital Economy, for a beautiful job that he did together with the other colleagues, including my PS, the PS for Immigration and Citizen Services. Please, a round of applause for all those who made it a success yesterday. Your Excellency, allow me just to make 2 points. One is, of course, I join in welcoming all our friends who are coming into Kenya and Nairobi. And I am glad to learn that this forum is a forum to exchange ideas with one another as brothers and sisters from friendly countries, but also it's a forum to pick best practices globally so that Africa can move with the world at the same pace. Your Excellency, as my colleague, the PS, has said, I don't want to repeat, we have an ID system in Kenya which is semi-automated. Part of it, there's a bit of automation, but quite minimal. Going forward, we are looking at upgrading our current automated fingerprint identification system, AFIS, into an automated biometric identification system, which goes beyond the fingerprints and involves the iris and the iris, the fingerprints, as well as facial recognition. The other thing, Your Excellency, is that going forward, we are moving towards an electronic ID with a machine-readable chip and QR code, and eventually this should lead us to a digital ID system which will allow web-based ID authentication. And in the long run, transit all that into a universal personal identifier, a unique personal identifier, which we are going to give all newborns in Kenya, and it becomes their ID when they attain the age of majority at 18. So, Your Excellency, I think we are on the right forum. This is a forum which will make us move into the digital world and move Kenya's registration of persons, Kenya's identity system to the next level. And we are very happy with the kind of cutting-edge technology that have been demonstrated during the exhibition. I welcome everyone, and I look forward to learning and picking ideas which we can integrate as the people of Kenya as we move towards modernizing our ID system. Your Excellency, allow me, before I invite you, to recognize the ministers who are present by just reading out their names so that they can be acknowledged. Honorable Huria Ali Mahdi is the State Minister for Innovation and Technology from the Federal Republic of Ethiopia. We have Tesfaye Daba Watkira, who is the Cabinet Affairs State Minister from the Republic, again, of Ethiopia, the Federal Republic of Ethiopia. The Honorable Yusuf Masauni is the Minister for Home Affairs of the United Republic of Tanzania. The Honorable Mamadou Adamu Soleil is the Interior Minister of the Republic of Niger. The Honorable Hamed Mwalim Fiki Hamed is the Interior Minister of the Republic, the Federal Republic of Somalia. The Honorable Tegu Setiabudi is the Deputy Minister for the Ministry of Home Affairs from the Republic of Indonesia. And of course, my brother Eliud is here, the Minister for ICT and the Digital Economy of the Republic of Kenya. At this juncture, I request that we be all upstanding as we invite His Excellency, President of the Republic of Kenya, William Ruto, to address us. Welcome, Your Excellency.
Good morning, everybody, and let's take our seats. Thank you very much. Honorable Ministers present, Principal Secretaries, senior government officials, distinguished participants, good morning. And welcome to, let me join the Governor of Nairobi in welcoming all of you to Kenya. I know the Governor has given you some information. He has welcomed you home. Let me underscore that as a scientist myself, scientific information, including data, have verified that the earliest remains of man were found somewhere in Turkana in Kenya. Therefore, our friends from Europe, our friends from the Americas and Asia and the rest of the continent of Africa, welcome home. This is where the human journey began. And if for any reason you feel so much at home that you're tempted to stay behind, please feel free, because this is home. Secondly, the Governor of Nairobi has also told you that this is the only city where the national park with all the wild animals is 10 minutes drive from your hotel room. Let me just maybe add to the information that he has given that sometimes the lions and the other wild animals, sometimes they break off from the fence. So if you meet a lion on the street, please be careful, because it is not domesticated, it is wild.
But let me say, on behalf of the government and people of Kenya, I wish to acknowledge the privilege it is for us to host the 7th ID Africa General Meeting, a conference with tremendous implications for effective and inclusive governance, efficient provision of public services based on accurate population, citizen data, and the advancement of fundamental rights and social justice. A gathering of eminent experts in the field of identity management, drawn from African governments, international development and humanitarian agencies, as well as global leaders in digital identity solutions. This is an event of monumental significance by all accounts, and I am immensely delighted to be here. And on behalf of the people of Kenya, I extend a warm welcome to all our visitors from Africa and the rest of the world. Please do feel at home and endeavor to find the time to experience our magnificent country and its delightful attractions that will make for a memorable stay, including what Governor Sakaja said. This conference offers a unique forum for productive interactions among African national identity management agencies, as well as potential transformative exchanges between these agencies and global experts from the identity and biometrics industry. I have been impressed by the latest identity management innovations on display, and I believe that they constitute a significant indicator of this exposition's transformative potential. We consider sound identity management to be essential to the integrity of the state because we recognize its immediate implication for the effective management of our democracy, society, and the management of our economy as well. Good governance entails effective administration and efficient management of the economy by a legitimate government authorized through democratic elections. Accurate information about the population resident within our territory is absolutely indispensable. To validly constitute government, we need an accurate idea of how many voters, how many people, how have they voted, so that we can effectively deliver public services and make it possible for citizens to explore opportunities and also deliver public goods. The government also needs accurate information on essential attributes of citizens and other residents of a country in order to provide them with services and otherwise allocate resources for their benefit with a measure of efficiency and accuracy. Moreover, the provision of public services also depends on the deployment of personnel and associated resources throughout the country in such a manner that the purposes and objectives of government are realized to the utmost. Transactional efficiency in the provision of public as well as private goods and services depends on a capacity to establish the identity of agents and quickly and accurately in that matter. In recognition of these imperatives, Kenya has established a strong track record of sound identity management practices anchored on a national population register that is underpinned by the maintenance of a shared fingerprint biometric system. The register captures the data of adult citizens, residents of national or foreign nationals, refugees, as well as other protected persons. Aside from this, Kenya also maintains a robust civil and vital statistics registration system. The government has instituted measures to ensure 100% registration of births and services and births and deaths by 2026. Aside from the overarching purposes of national identity management system, Kenya has specific objectives for pursuing this critical undertaking. Article 12 of our Constitution sets out the entitlement of every citizen to rights, privileges, and benefits of citizenship, and to a Kenyan passport and any document of registration or identification issued by the state to all our citizens. The state is therefore committed by implication to the full implementation of these clear constitutional provisions without any question or delay or any other excuse. In addition, these constitutional imperatives is aligned with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and more specifically SDG 16.9, under peace, justice, and strong institutions to provide legal identity for all, including free birth registration. And I am very happy. I was particularly impressed and fascinated by the presentation of Colin Howell, a great professional, and his journey across our continent and what he has, the kind of expertise he has been able to bring to bear on our identity infrastructure, including the Kenyan one. And I want to say just two things. Even as you go through this very important conversation, and as you bring our professionals, experts, scientists, designers into this space so that we can chart the way into the future together, including all the expertise that come and have worked with us, I want you to pay special attention to two fundamental things. Number one, we are investing as a continent, and specifically as a country, about 30% of all our resources in education, training, and research. And because of that huge investment, we are developing a human capital. And about 30 million Africans join the labor market after undergoing various levels of education. I would ask that even as we develop the expertise around this field, even as we work with professionals and experts and designers, we have millions of young people, talented, tech-savvy in our continent that can be trained, that can work with experts from the rest of the globe. And in a very short time, we should be able to not only do what Colin Howell is doing by Africans in Africa, but we can also begin the journey to export that talent to other parts of the world. What I'm saying is, and I like what Colin said. He said he's looking forward to working with us, even to working with Kenya on our new passport and our new identity infrastructure. The only caveat I will give to him is that it will be possible for us to work with you only if you're willing to work with our young people, our experts, our designers, so that we can be able to pass on the experience that is developing, the scientific knowledge that is developing, so that the young people we are developing in our continent can also contribute their talent, their ideas, and their suggestions into the identification infrastructure of the future. I am a great believer that any scientist, any designer, any professional, any leader is judged not just by what they accomplish, but by the mentorship they do to the next generation. You must position yourself as part of your success to develop the next generation of designers, the next generation of professionals. And I say so very passionately because Africa is the youngest continent with a mean age of about 20. And with technology, the young people that come out of school, my estimate at the moment is about 30 million every year. They have what it takes to provide the human capital, the labor of the future, the designers of the future, the scientists of the future, just with a little bit of working together and building the necessary ecosystem that will tap into this talent. I want to ask the policymakers who are here, ministers, principal secretaries, that you must keep an eye, not just on what is available now, who we can work with now, but we must also keep an eye on making sure that we tap into the millions of the young people in our continent to give them the opportunity to contribute their talent and expertise going into the future. I think it will be the greatest appreciation for those who have assisted us to come this far that we can give back and get young designers from Africa to help design IDs and identification documents in Europe, America, Asia, and all the other places that have been very kind to us to assist us in what we have been doing. I am proud of the progress we have made towards the achievement of this ambition, including notably granting of Kenyan citizenship to members of various communities which have lived in our country as stateless persons since independence. We have people from Mozambique, whom we have granted Kenyan citizenship. We have people from Pemba, whom we have had to grant them citizenship. We have other communities that we are considering because we believe the globe is continuously getting integrated. We are even working with the UN agencies to see some of our refugees who can then be considered for citizenship in Kenya, because we appreciate that continuously we are living in a global village and all of us must be able to work together towards a homogeneous society. Our identity management system is the bedrock on which Kenya's financial, revenue collection, telco, social security, universal health, and other voter registration systems are built. Consider the country's celebrated leadership in the mobile phone penetration and mobile money penetration ecosystem. These achievements, including the globally acclaimed M-Pesa, stand upon the robust foundation of our national identity management system and the whole ecosystem around technology. We have embarked on a national program to digitize government records and information and automate public service provision to enable Kenyans access government services from the comfort of their homes using their devices. The aim is to significantly cut down transaction costs and minimize opportunities for corruption by eliminating unnecessary bureaucracy and also increase transparency in government and efficiency in the provision of government service. Over the past year, we have increased the number of services available. We have increased the number of services available on the digital platform from 320 to 5,000 and intend to cover all services that Government of Kenya provides. And I think we have identified close to 7,000 services. All of them should be available on a digital platform by the end of this year, so that citizens, from the comfort of their homes or their offices, can interact with government, can access government services in an efficient, effective, timely manner without unnecessary bureaucracy. Because of this ambition, Kenya is among the earliest of its continent's peers to establish a policy framework for data protection, which includes comprehensive legislation and regulations to safeguard privacy and personal data. I know it's a big concern. People don't want their medical records, they do not want their personal data to be abused or to be used by people who are unauthorized. And that is the reason why we have a comprehensive data protection legislation that provides security for the use of data that is available on the digital platform for people who are only authorized to access that information. And I saw our Director General of Data, she's here, a very efficient lady, but she's also tough. I sometimes find people complaining that she has taken steps against them. Continue doing the good job, madam. You have my support. With a sound policy ecosystem in place, we are ready to execute our leap into a brave new world and become a fully fledged digital country and economy. Our identity registration and management journey, together with all the experiences and achievements along the way, demonstrate that properly considered and rationally executed identity management solutions can and do catalyze a country's socio-political and economic transformation, thereby empowering people to exercise their rights, access services, participate in affairs of their nation, perform their obligations, and pursue opportunities that are available in their countries. This is how sustainable development happens. Let me mention one more thing, that as we think about what I have said, as the professionals think about our young people, you must also think about the shared prosperity, that this identity journey must not erect barriers and roadblocks. It must just serve the good purpose of identity for ease of movement, so that using agile technology and identity systems, we can be able to make it much more easy for people to travel, for people to cross borders, because they are easily identifiable, and we can easily separate the good guys from the bad guys. That way, and I am talking to those of us from our continent, we should be able to eliminate the barriers that currently impede our ability to work together, to trade together, to invest together. We all know that the level of intra-Africa trade has been impeded by our inability to work together. As you work on these digital identity management systems, you must be sensitive to the fact that Africa is lagging behind in matters of trade between ourselves. Our identity ecosystem must facilitate us to actualize the tenets and the principles of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area that provides us an opportunity to trade, to increase intra-Africa trade from currently less than 10% to where Europe and the rest of Asia and the Americas are around 50-60%. We can be able to unlock huge potential in our economies by facilitating the movement of people, goods, and services in our continent and be able to unlock the great potential that exists in our continent. It will also give us the opportunity to balance trade between our continent and the rest of the continents. It will also enable us to make a contribution to world trade and commerce and business. Today, we are contributing less than 3% of world trade. It's not that we do not have tradable goods. It is not that we do not have the men and women to do it. It is because we are not working in concert. We are not working with synergy. And hopefully the professionals who are here from our continent will want to appreciate that going into the future, we must make the world better by making our contribution. We have 17% of the population as we talk, yet we contribute only 3% of world trade. We must up our game, and hopefully those of us who are here can begin to talk together and work together, work in concert, work in synergy, so that we can unlock the potential that exists in our continent and also be able to meaningfully contribute to the progress and the prosperity of the world by making our contribution to world trade, world commerce, and world enterprise. Our path into a digital economy will require us to proceed beyond our considerable achievements in identity management in order to transition from unique identity registration into a fully functional and secure national digital identity management system. A trusted, all-inclusive digital identity system is indispensable in digital governance. This conference, therefore, is quite timely insofar as it takes place while the government is deliberating the implementation of a civil registration and vital statistics system that meets the imperatives of a new digital era. The new system must be able to assign unique personal identification numbers at birth to all persons born in Kenya, upgrade the current national identity card into a national digital identity management system, and adopt the most sophisticated advanced passenger information solution to address the entry and exit of our borders and ports. I challenge all participants, especially identity management practitioners from Africa, to collaborate with Kenyan colleagues in sharing their experience, strengthening thought leadership, and exploring possible innovations to achieve greater integrity and efficiency in this sector. I also encourage industry experts to generously share their insights and apply their unique expertise in digital public infrastructure in order to generate solutions that will enhance the entrenchment of data sovereignty, both in Kenya and throughout Africa, as we learn from best practice across the globe. Data privacy for registered persons is an essential component of our public mandate, and we must take every possible measure to safeguard it at all times. We operate in an environment of escalating resource constraints, and yet, at the same time, we cannot postpone or downgrade our identity management endeavors. Our development partners, therefore, have an opportunity to explore possible areas of collaboration with our state departments for immigration and citizen services to support our identity management programs. And I want to say here that we're looking at all options when we are discussing resource constraints, among them public-private partnerships, joint ventures, and other interventions that will bring the private sector to provide public service in a manner that is affordable and in a manner where there is shared outcomes, shared profits, and bringing the expertise and professionalism of the private sector into the delivery of public goods and services. I also want to address myself to one or two other issues that could come in the way of the delivery of what we are discussing in this meeting. Climate change is a huge component of what influences the availability, the deployment of public goods and services. When governments have to divert resources that are meant for the delivery of public goods, including education, including water, including health, and sometimes including the subject of digital ecosystem, to be able to provide for the vagaries of what climate change has visited on us. We need to have a conversation. And I want to say, those of us from the continent of Africa, we want to have a candid conversation on how we can leverage on the huge resources we have, especially energy resources, from wind, from solar, from hydro, from geothermal, to be able to sort out the big question of energy that is influencing world development. Africa can become a critical player in sorting out the challenge of climate change. We need to listen to what we are saying, and we want not a finger pointing, not a blame game. We want a win-win outcome out of this conversation. We want, as a continent, to bring the assets that we have, the energy resources that we have. We want others to come with technology, to come with investment, and have a conversation as to how we can not only deliver clean, green energy in the African continent, but we can also help other continents to be able to overcome their challenges of fossil fuel energy by exporting some of our resources through hydrogen technology to other parts of the world and sort out the big question of climate change using climate financing, climate investment. A week ago, I was discussing with the Prime Minister of Singapore how Kenya can assist Singapore in selling them some of our carbon credits to manage their own situation. This is the kind of discussion we want to have so that we can have a win-win, because we have only one globe to share. It is not the North versus the South. It is not Africa versus other continents. We have only one globe for all of us to share. We are in it together. Either we are sinking together or we are floating together. And I think I choose we float together. I also want to tell our good friends who are partners with us, we appreciate the investment and the opportunity to work with others in our continent. And it's the right thing to do. It's also good for us to know that Africa is the continent of the future. By 2050, a quarter of the world's population will be living in Africa. we will have developed a very big market. It is the youngest continent with a GDP of 3.5 trillion. We are currently consolidating, as African leaders, we are consolidating Africa into a single market. In fact, through the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, Africa will be the largest single market by 2050 in the world. Any business person, any entrepreneur, any technology provider must know where the future is for you to begin to make the necessary investments and to begin to have the necessary network for you to have yourself properly positioned in the continent of the future. And we will be open for business, and we are looking for a win-win formula that will harness all our potentials, build on the successes, build on best practice, and be able to support not just our continent, but to support humanity in making sure that we have a secure, we have a prosperous globe for us, for all of us to share. Finally, let me mention one more thing, because I have the benefit of many African leaders in this room. That we are also having a conversation about an ecosystem that is going to fairly give everybody an opportunity to be their best. We will be discussing in Paris shortly the international financial system and a new deal that will bring lenders and borrowers together. Because the lender cannot do without the borrower, and the borrower cannot do without the lender. But there must be a mutual win-win outcome for it to be sustainable. That's the conversation we will be having to discuss a new international financial system that gives opportunity for every part of the world. At the moment, our very considered view is the current international financial system is rigged against some, where other sovereigns access international financial resources at less than 1%, others access with more than 10%. When you are trying to deliver public goods, you cannot do it in a system where one pays 100 times more than the other. And we are not asking for a financial system that favors anybody. We are asking for a fair one that gives everybody a chance. This is the conversation we are going to have, and I am very happy that the people who will work with us, even as you think about identity, you must also know that we share one globe, and we are all on the same side. Once more, I affirm my profound delight at being able to participate in this timely, appropriate, and fundamentally transformational conference. I wish you fruitful deliberations and look forward to the outcomes of your deliberations in due course to share in Kenya, in our continent, and globally so that we can have a much more progressive home for all of us. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Come on, one more round of applause for His Excellency. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Rais kwa hiyo hotuba.
To time indefinite. I accepted your apology and entered your home. I was yet to comprehend the weight of the apology you had so willingly offered. A warrior queen, Shoshua Jafine, as we fondly and cautiously called her. She was not one to shy away from disciplining children, young and old. Your disciplining styles, Shosho, were always clever and effective. In fact, Grandma, You cured me of selfishness with a few words. Modo mokare na morogi makoragwo kiondo kimwe. Being mean is as bad as being a witch. That was all it took for me to divorce selfishness forever. I will never forget the stories you whispered in my ear while laying down on your couch in Komarok. One particular story stands out when you decided that you would join the resistance against the colonialists. Such stories all the youth of our nation should hear, to know of the struggle and ordeals our foreparents went through for our freedom. You are only in level 3 when you witnessed the brutality of the colonial system firsthand. When a man was killed in broad daylight for not having money to pay tax. In that moment, responding with sheer courage, you fought. For many years, I was ashamed when people said we were related to Dedan Kimathi. In my uneducated mind, we, the family of Wagome, had not contributed much to the fight against Wabeberu, only to discover years later that our very own grandfather Wadufere, grandmother Eloise Mokami Kimathi, was in the center of the fight as a commander in her own right. My dear grandmother, you took away all my senseless shame, and now I pride myself in knowing that not only did you contribute, but you are a big part of the fight for Kenya's independence. You knew right from wrong, and you did not idle and watch as the colonizers abused and killed our men, women, and children. You fought, Grandma, you fought. As a teenager, you fought. As a mother, you fought. As a grandmother, you fought to educate by telling us the truth. As a child, God spoke to you through a dream, and you had seen the coming of the white man before they had stepped foot in Nyeri. Not to mention, you lived in a time when women rarely stood around the table where decisions were made, and yet you not only stood, but you contributed. The burdens you bore have been unimaginable. You carried them without preparation, and that is how I know you walked with God as He carried through the tough times. Then He carries you even now to a better place. You admitted your faults, and often you admitted your faults often, and I admired that about you deeply. You are wise and visionary. In your book you write, "This country will be united by my children's children," and that gives us hope, courage to lead in shaping the future. You had the mercies of God, a God-given grace to have forgiven those who killed Dedan Kimathi. In so doing, you taught me the virtue of forgiveness. To me, you were and still are the embodiment of courage, strength for women at home and abroad. The life you lived was a full and gratifying one. Rest in peace, Grandma, knowing that the torch has been passed and your vision of a unified Kenya lives on in me and everyone here today. Thank you.
Your Excellency, I think we made a mistake. We would have had her as the master of ceremony, and I've taken a back seat. That's my daughter, but kama vile nimesema, if you think I also don't have history, test me, and I'll tell you that His Excellency in 1986, with the team of Kapsabet in Kitale, you did wonders with that volleyball team. I was on the other side, and your team did very well. You are a center player, I was a left player, and the remaining bit is history. You are deputy president. When you are at the university in 1986, you are the setter of the Nairobi University team, the volleyball team, and you played with Rusweti. Your Excellency, you played with the Kirunda, you played with the Saitoti. The rest is history. I was just trying to tell her I also have my own history. And without further ado, allow me to invite Madam Evrine. Madam Evrine is the last born, and this last born has been very dear to us. She's really assisted us. She'll lead her eulogy, and we shall insert one, Mr. Gitonga, that we forgot, of the lady who was with the mother until she parted, and that is Madam Miriam Nyawera. So immediately after Wanjogu, you will invite Nyawera, and then we shall have the last one by the head of the family, and that is Simon Maina. Thank you. Give her a big hand as she comes.
Hamjamboni. Bwana asifiwe. Mom, you're a mentor. You educated me and took me to the best school in Nyandarua County, Karima Girls. You taught me how to pray and woke me and my siblings up at 3 a.m. And you said, Okirai mohoe netha keda. You taught me to give testimonies at an early age of 9 years old. After school, you made me sure I got employed as a civil servant at the State Road office. Later, you got me employed in the Kenya Airport Authority. When I vied in 2007 as a member of parliament of Kinangop, you went into your coffers and supported me with all the expenses involved, such as payments for registration certificate, mobilization fees, and other expenses. Mom, you taught me the importance of trees. You told me that trees were used in the struggle for independence. For example, the Dedan Kimathi post office is a tree in the forest that has a natural hole where letters used to be delivered and picked by the villagers and the forest sentries. You taught me that trees were used as shrines in the forest. Prayers were performed under Mugumo trees, and Guy Olmwenenyaga would reveal to the war seers. By the way, most of you don't know that Mau Mau had carried their prophets, all Modomogo, who used to reveal and see dreams. Kimathi himself was a dreamer. Mokami Kimathi was a dreamer. She was a seer. Your Excellency, Mokami Kimathi dreamt of the Mau Mau War in 1936. She saw the whole war and she was sent to different people to deliver the message of the war. May God give her a rest. No, I have not finished, kindly. Reveal to the war seers of the coming enemy. In the entire struggle, the fighters used the tree cover to hide against the enemy. This has helped me, Your Excellency, so much in my journey of environmental conservation. Your Excellency, it's good I tell you, it's important that I tell you, I'm the CEO of the Dedan Kimathi Foundation, and since 2019, I've planted 2.8 million trees. And I was happy when you took the oath. The first thing you said is climate change mitigation. And I thought that God has revealed to you that how he used to reveal to the Mau Mau. May God, you live long, our president. Environmental conservation and climate change mitigation. Maitu, you inspired me to plant trees. Trees are sacred and we should embrace them. I will always cherish you, Mom, all the days of my life. God bless you. Rest in peace, Maitu. We love you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And as Miriam walks in, I know our time was 1 hour, but you have limited it kidogo. I can see the family members wananiambia unatuharakisha sana. Well, let me allow this lady who did a wonderful job. Huyu ndiye alikuwa ametubebea hata permit ya Reef Funeral Home. She was very close to Mom and let her lead her tribute.
Bwana asifiwe. Praise God. Praise God again. Nashukuru Mungu kwa neema na utukufu wa Mungu na kuona mkubwa wa nchi yako tuko pamoja. Welcome, sir. I have been trying to bring Mom to you when she was alive, but we have to ask. Lazima tukubali. Message yake, we have it for you, sir.
I chose Nexford University because I wanted to experience the American education. Nexford University is fairly affordable in